Hello everyone, Professor Thompson here. It is November 2nd and we are 2 days away from unit number 1 being due in our speech 1100 Net 31 course. I just wanted to take a few minutes to provide some reminders, some updates, some things you need to keep in mind as we get close to that first unit 1 deadline. First off, Unit 1 is due on Saturday, November 4th. All of the material in the unit, except for the speech, is due by midnight. So all of the modules and practice aspects, all of the quizzes, all of the discussion boards, all of your responses to your classmates' discussion boards, that's all due by midnight on November 4th. The speech that you have to give is due by 11:30 p.m. And that is because, again, it's really important, and I don't want you waiting until midnight with everything else, but more importantly, there's an issue on the backside where I can't actually have it. I have to choose either 11:30 or I have to roll to the next day. So the settings are forcing me to have that at 11:30. But remember that your speech is due uploaded by 11:30 on November 4th. A couple things that you must remember, and I want to start with the speech first. You have to adhere to the speech 1100 State of Illinois requirements. You must submit an unedited video. You must have 8 people in your audience. The 8 people that are in your audience that you gather must be 16 years of age or older. You need to make sure that you show your ID at the beginning of the video. You need to make sure that you show your audience at the beginning of the video. And then you need to make sure that whoever is doing the recording for you moves to a position where I can, see the audience or part of the audience, and then I can see you as a speaker for the duration of your entire speech. And then the third State of Illinois requirement is that you must give your speech in a public place of some sort. Now, obviously, you have to determine what public venue you will use, whether that is a movie theater, a boardroom, a conference room, a public library, a classroom of your choosing. That's up to you. But remember, you cannot give this presentation in your house, your living room, your dining room, nothing like that. Please don't sit down in front of your computer like I'm doing right now and make a video. If you break any of those 3 criteria that the state of Illinois has set, you get an automatic 0 for your speech. So one of the first things that I do is I just go through the videos quickly and I see whether or not those 3 criteria were met before I even evaluate your speech. And those get automatic 0s, so I don't even watch the rest of the video. So keep that in mind. Next, I don't want you to get so overly uptight about this first speech. Again, it's a challenge to get an audience together. It's a challenge to record it. I understand this. I want you to really focus on delivering a good message. Have 3 core main points. Make sure those main points are very clear. Make sure that you have clear organization. Make sure that you're transitioning strongly between each of your main ideas so I can tell that you're moving from one body point to another. You should have a developed introduction. You should have a developed conclusion. You really should put some effort into this. If you are recording your speech the first, second, third, fourth time that you've practiced your speech, you haven't practiced your speech enough. I would not record it, and I would not submit one of those first few opportunities where you've run through your speech. Just because you are in an online class does not mean that you shouldn't be practicing thoroughly before you submit your final project. Just like you would be expected to practice before you showed up to give your speech in a face-to-face class. One of the things that I think you also need to keep in mind heading towards this first deadline for your speech is technical issues and problems fall on your shoulders. I absolutely do not want you contacting me at 10 p.m., 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night. First of all, it's the weekend, and you probably, if you want to enjoy your weekend, should have submitted your video prior to the coming weekend. But second of all, I'm probably not going to respond to any emails or concerns until Monday after the weekend's over, and that's mentioned in the syllabus. But third, if you're running into technical difficulties, you need to allow yourself enough time to problem solve, to troubleshoot. Do you need to contact the help desk at COD? Do you need to contact the help desk at McGraw-Hill? Is it a Connect issue? Is it a file size issue? Please remember that I did provide a handout in Blackboard, and it's not only in the assignment description area, but it's also in the area where you would submit your video in that online speech submission tab that tells you they're the instructions from Connect. They give you some advice about submitting your video and whatnot. I have very few problems, like very, very few. So please don't think that if you have a minor technical difficulty that it is a pervasive problem that everybody is dealing with, and realize that you need to begin to do some troubleshooting on your own. And it's important that you allow enough time in advance to have that happen. Okay? So don't wait until the last minute. Do not contact me at the last minute with your technical issues. Make sure that you're working on that. I would be recording my speech today if I'm ready. I would be submitting it today so that I have that off my plate. That's my biggest recommendation. Okay, so the other thing that I want to sort of address as we kind of go through this is that I'm hoping that you're watching this video, right? But I've had 2 or 3 people contact me within the last 3 or 4 days asking questions that are either in the previous video that I posted in the course, or they're questions that would be answered if you just read the directions, right? Make sure you're reading the directions. Make sure you're reading the requirement sheet for a speech. The answers are in there typically. I also would like to just mention that there are a couple of you who have already moved on to unit number 2. Kudos to you. Well done. Anytime you finish a unit early, feel free to continue to advance forward. There's nothing in my course that says if you want to finish this course by Thanksgiving, you can do that. Now, obviously, I can't put in a final grade independently of the entire course. I have to enter my final grades at the end of the semester. But, if one or 2 of you are feeling a little crazy and ambitious, and you want to finish the course over Thanksgiving break, and you have an audience gathered, and you want to give your 3rd and final speech early, then by all means, absolutely work ahead and do it. But overwhelmingly, I know that there are a lot of you that still haven't even finished Unit 1, and you have a lot that you have to do in Unit 1. The one thing that, actually there's a couple realities about online courses, and especially online speech courses. A lot of times we get the wrong students in Speech 1100 internet courses. And when I say the wrong students, this is what I mean. Students that have a high anxiety that probably should have benefited or would benefit more from taking a face-to-face class. So if you were a really highly anxious student and you thought, I'm going to take the online class because I don't have to speak in front of people, you're realizing that that's not true. And maybe the other contextual factors are now adding to your anxiety. So, taking the online speech course isn't necessarily helping with that anxiety piece. I think a lot of students also think that an online speech class is going to be easier. And that's just not true either. The online speech class is much more flexible, right? You get to work at your own pace. You are submitting assignments when you can around work or family, and that's great to have that flexibility. But it is 100% not easier. And so you still have tons of quizzes. You still have to gather your own audience for a speech. Nobody said it was going to be easy. And if you thought it was going to be easy, you were misinformed or it was a myth. So keep that in mind. You have a lot of flexibility in my course, and I'm glad that you have that flexibility, but it definitely is not easier. We have to adhere to the state of Illinois criteria and requirements for the speeches. And so I realize that may be a challenge. Okay, I'm going to close this out because it's almost 11 minutes now. But I do want to say that I'm looking forward to your presentations. Please get them in on time, and we will talk very soon.